Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at uenradio.com.
What's the name of the game? Strictly hype. Yo, check this out. We're gonna do some old death definition. I know y'all know we're gonna do that. Yo, if y'all with that tonight, let me hear you say.
When I dream, all I see is you and me. Back when we were free, doing ghetto dances, taking crazy chances. Oh, baby, no one else will ever love you more than me. Oh, and I feel hard and let your soul be free to love, love. Remember love. Remember
Welcome to another segment of Talkback Live. This is your host, Antoine Hawkins, and today I have in studio with me Elisa Gomez-Taylor, and she is a wonderful jazz artist, not only a jazz artist, but she does a little R&B, a little funk, a little Brazilian stuff, bossa nova, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation with her this day around her career, what gives her drive, and many things in that order. So I want everyone in my international audience to welcome Elisa to the program.
Thank you, Antoine. It's such an honor to be here. And thank you for inviting me.
Well, you know, actually, the honor indeed is mine. Listening to your music and so forth and your energy, you know, when we were back there in the green room or whatnot and coming in and meeting you for the first time, it's just so wonderful, the love and the positive energy that flows out of you. And that's very, very important because, you know, in this world, you can meet some really, really nasty people, right?
That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. But, you know, it's a matter of, you know, what we give, we can get back.
Mm-hmm.
So if we give that love and that attention, that sincerity, it will come back.
That's
There's no
true.
secret about it.
That's
and
true.
we just have to practice that every day. And sometimes it is tough because we have challenges. But, you know, we got to think, okay, how am I going to get through this and still be on my toes?
Exactly. That's a good point. So I want to start the program because I want to allow my my listening audience to get to know who you are. We want them to purchase your CDs. We want them to go to Amazon,
Absolutely.
iTunes, wherever it's at.
And enjoy.
And enjoy your music. And we're going to have the opportunity. I want to share with you, studio audience, you're going to have the opportunity to listen and to hear some of our music during the program. So as we get started in this first segment, I'd like to know a little bit about when did you actually start singing?
Professionally or just started singing?
Just started singing.
In church, at home. My father played upright bass. He had an incredible jazz collection. He had actually a jazz salon, and he had professionals come over and they would talk about audio. My dad was an audio genius, but he also had this fabulous collection of records. He would do the reel-to-reel. So I was exposed to jazz music early on. And it was amazing because when I started singing it as a young adult, it was like, wow, I know all these songs. And it was because I was listening to them for years. And then my mom had her Latin collection, big band Latin music. And then my brothers had a band, which was R&B funk. So I had all this plethora of beautiful music. And I was able to, immerse it into my style, which is kind of vast, but I do a lot of Latin jazz music and Brazilian music. It would have touched R&B in it as well. So started young, and I started singing with my brother's band when we were teenagers.
Oh, your brother had a band.
Yeah, it was called the Billy Taylor Band. My father managed the band, and we sang regionally. I sang.
Now, wait a minute. Why does that name sound familiar?
We're from Ohio, so
Okay.
back in Ohio, and a lot of funk players.
Don't tell me Dayton.
Yes. I'm from
Okay.
Dayton. You
I have
know,
some good
Roger
friends in
Troutman was
Dayton.
right around the
Okay.
corner. We used to watch him perform. Lakeside. Some of the members used to play in my brother's band. We were teenagers.
Okay.
And Slave, Horizon, and
Oh my, you're talking some good groups here.
yes, absolutely. So I had that exposure.
My engineer's excited.
So when I wasn't singing, I was running off to the tennis courts playing tennis. You know.
Oh, gotcha. How funny.
It was great, and we used to practice in this big garage. And my brother led the band, and I tell you, when somebody made a mistake, we had to stop and start all over again. So he was very meticulous about the details and so forth.
And that's very, very important in music. And, you know, one of the things that I'm seeing in a lot of young people that I talk to, they really don't get it. During my generation and generations before me, and I'm not going to say I'm that old, but I'm still young.
You
if
are
not at
young.
heart.
Yes, you are.
But I like to tell them a lot of times that we really had music, and it takes nothing away from the artists today. But performers were really able to perform. They were really able to sing. And today's music is just different.
It's a little different, and there are a lot of niches. I say there are some folks that are very
That's a
good
good
at
point.
digital things, and they're able to create very interesting sounds and beats and sell it. So it's really opened up the market generously, and so there's a place for that. But I understand, because I like the old style music where you have musicians that are well studied, they understand, they can flow through different types of styles of music effortlessly, you know, through practice and so forth. So I can appreciate that as well. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's very, very important. I want to just put your CD up on the screen real quick, because there was something that I never do, and I did fail to do, and that was to give you a proper introduction. So as my listening audience is looking at on the screen, I just want to share with you a little bit of Elisa's background. She embraces multi-dimensions of music lyrically, and as a songwriter, she serenades her audiences in Spanish, Portuguese, and English, and she tours through eclectic and well-known dives, festivals, and pristine hotels and venues, not only in the United States, but also in Latin America and Europe. And what you're looking at now, the cover of her newest CD is Lava Man. Is that correct, Elisa?
Yes.
Encompassing original compositions with Latin contemporary flavors, paired with Brazilian rhythms, Spanish guitar, intertwined in smooth R&B grooves, classical texture of strings, cello, and oboe. Right?
Oboe, yes.
Embellished.
Oboe.
That's
And
right.
English horn, too.
And English horns, yes. The album, it really does bring forth a lyrical tapestry of the ecstasy of samba and even Mother Nature's evolution of change. And so the song Shame, A Lover's Games, and A Sweet Bossa Nova by Sunset, it's just really, really wonderful. And I want to encourage all of you, all of my listeners all over to get that CD. And so now back on point, what did your family do to encourage you to sing?
I think it was just a natural thing. My dad playing upright bass, once in a while. He played in the service. He was in the Navy. He was actually stationed in Guantanamo, where my mother's from.
Oh, okay.
And my
in
mom
Cuba.
worked on bass.
Well,
exactly.
Cuba.
Yes, Cuba. You said it.
Americans. don't do it.
Cuba. Oh, yeah. And so growing up, I just gravitated to it. I had aunts that were singers, and my brothers were musicians. And I just
On the Cuban side or the American side?
On my father's
Your
side,
father's side,
American
okay.
side, yes. They one of them went to Juilliard and studied music,
Oh,
and
wow.
another one was a jazz singer
That's a
and
very
so forth.
prestigious university.
So I think it kind of runs in the blood, and I just gravitated to it naturally.
Okay.
And I as a kid, I would listen to all styles of music, and a lot of my mentors were the singers. Some had passed on, but they were my mentors, just listening to the texture, the sound, their tempo, their phrasing. Those are very valuable lessons. I mean, yes, I had some wonderful instructors. A couple of them actually toured with Sergio Mendes. They were with Brazil 66. Incredible teachers. One was focusing on the Brazilian style. The other one was focusing on jazz improv. So those kind of lessons, try to get richer and richer. So it's a learning process always for me. I'm always learning about music, and I like to listen to the different kinds of instrumentations from around the world. And so when I'm thinking about writing, I'm thinking about, okay, what kind of textures do I want in a song? What kind of tempo do I want? Okay, now what's the concept? What message do I want to deliver here, and how do I want to deliver it, you know? So it's a fun process.
So when you talk about writing songs, because not only are you a performer, but you're a songwriter and you're a band leader.
Yes, when my wonderful days in Hawaii,
In
in
Hawaii.
Maui at the Grand Wailea Hotel Resort Spa, which at the time was one of the top spa resorts in the world.
In the world,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was, you know, within the five. And I had an opportunity to perform in their lobby for 4 years. And I did a lot of their special events as well.
As
So I had a
well?
trio there, and then sometimes I would have a 5-piece band. But I played at all the hotels. I played at all the venues there. It was just a great experience. There was probably less than a handful of female singers. And I did my own marketing. It was easy to do because it was such a small island. And a lot of people came back, so I saw a lot of the same visitors. And then friends would come out as well. So, yeah, that was a great experience.
So when you're writing a song, what inspires you to write? Is it centered on maybe a bad relationship, the sun coming up bright in the morning?
It's a combination of all of that. And it may not even be my story. It could
Okay.
be someone else's story.
Really?
So I'm telling someone else's story. So one of the songs I'm going to be releasing next year is about a young lady that goes off to war.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
and that she lives through the war, through the firestorms and everything. Then she comes back and she gets a chance to tell her family about it, and her kids about it, and so forth. And then as another song that I have released, Cultivate a White Rose, and that's about Jose Marti, who was, you know, back in the mid-1800s, who was a journalist, a soldier, and he was just one of those special folks that kind of changed things in our history. And he has his statue, like here at Echo Park. He has a
Yes,
statue
yes.
in Cuba, in Havana, I believe it's in Havana. So I written a song about him, and it's about his thinking, you know, talking about liberty for man and human people, you know, human
and
rights.
dignity and rights
Exactly.
and so forth.
And that's something we need to be conscious about.
Yes, we do, because really, for people who don't know him, I think that I'm safe to say that he was a civil rights forerunner, fairness and equity for people.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and that's very, very important. So when you're writing and then you take what you've written and you begin to sing it, how do you connect with that emotion?
Ooh, yeah, it's different for every song.
Different for every song.
I
And you
remember-
do you have a roller coaster when you're performing?
It's almost like that because it depends on the tempo. It
Okay.
depends on the flavor of the song. It depends on if you're punching some of the words or if they're flowing like liquid.
Oh.
So, for example, one of the songs I was Love is a Sacrifice. I was stumbling across how to deliver that song. So I pulled upon a lady, Carol Rogers, who worked with Sergio Mendes. I said, Carol, you know, can you help me with this song? You know, a lot of top singers, you know, famous singers, they have coaches they work with. So I pulled in this particular person because she's an expert in singing in Brazilian music and that
Okay.
style and the phrasing and everything. And she walked me through how to do some of the phrasing for that particular song because it wasn't a song that you could just jump into. It wasn't designed that way. And I needed to hear it a certain way. So she kind of helped me get there.
Yeah, and that's sometimes you need that type of help.
Absolutely.
Particularly if you
That's part of the learning process
yes.
because that means I learned a different technique. So when I have this toolbox of techniques with songs, and all the top coaches, they talk about that. You know, how do you sing this song? Well, you do it this way, you do it this way. And when you have all these tools, you know, you can create a lot with it.
And
You're
it
not
re-
just doing one thing. And there's nothing wrong with doing one thing and being extremely successful and people love it. Nothing wrong with that. I just like to open up, like I like world music and I like different kind of instruments. And it's like, how do I put it together so it's something that comes from me?
And, I think that's a very, very good point, because when you have that level of diversity, and, it's really something when you speak about, I had a thought when you were talking about being taught how the phrases and the enunciation and so forth of Brazilian music in particular, because even if you're dealing there contrasting with Portuguese to Spanish, it's just so different.
It's
Some
the
of the,
ooh,
yeah.
oh. So it's like you're going to say ooh instead of oh, that's right. There's a lot of distinctions there. So what I do is I speak a little both in languages, and I write some of it. So what I do is if I'm stuck again, I'll bring in someone who's an expert in that particular language to make sure that I'm doing my phrasings properly, because I didn't, grow up in Brazil, and there's lots of dialects in Brazil.
Exactly.
There's lots of dialects in as
the
far as
Spanish
Spanish
world.
culture. Absolutely. Different
Just
words.
like in the United States. Southern dialect, Eastern dialect,
Exactly.
New York, Los
Texas.
Yeah. Exactly.
And people say, "Where are you from?" Because I have a Midwestern type of accent, they say. And I say, "Yeah, I guess so."
Gotcha. How funny. Since your dad played an instrument, and before we go to station break, I just want to ask you, did you ever have the opportunity to perform with him? Or to sing when he
No.
played or anything like that?
No, I didn't. And he had that beautiful upright bass at home, and I would just look at it, and he would look down at me and say, "You better not touch it." But, it was a joy to watch him play it, though. It was really great to watch him play it.
That's a wonderful point.
I wish, I thought about that through the years. Like, that would have been amazing to have performed with my dad. But I have performed with my brothers, and we still do that. So
You
that's
still do
great.
that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Keep the family line going in music, right?
Trying to.
Gotcha. Does any of your nieces or children, anything, do they sing? Nephews?
I
Next
haven't.
generation?
I have a niece that likes to sing. I don't know where she's going to take it. She lives in Dayton, so
Okay.
yes. But I have encouraged her, and my friends who have young kids who like to sing and like my music, and they sing my songs. If they're going to be competing, and I tell my friends, "Hey, if you want me to just coach them a little bit, I'm happy to do that," and I have done that. Yeah, I want to see them be successful. I want to see them be happy. I want to see them flourish.
So here's the $1 million question before we go to
my
station
gosh.
break. How does it make you feel when the next generation is singing your song?
I won't know until I hear that. But it's wonderful when my friends are singing it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Or they're in the car, "I'm listening to your song, Lava Man." I hear that a lot. So I love it. And because my intention is to help people or have people be happy, feel something good, feel something positive, put
Yes.
a smile on their face, make their heart feel good. That's my intention. If I can't do that, I have no purpose in music.
Gotcha.
So it's always an exchange, even when I'm performing. You got to have your audience. So it's a privilege, in my opinion, to be in this profession and command an audience. You have an audience in front of you, so you want to do a good job. But you want to thank them for being there. You want to acknowledge them. You want to make sure that they are having a really good time and they are enjoying themselves, even if they're talking amongst themselves. You see their bodies moving, so they're feeling something good.
And that's important.
That's very important.
Very important, yeah. Well, we have in studio with us today Elisa Gomez Taylor. We're getting ready to take a station break, and I want you to tell someone to tune in to Talk Back Live. And I want you, when we come back off of station break, we will be playing her song Innocence from her CD. We'll be right back.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Innocence, eyes of a child, beautiful in motion, free to run wild. Innocence, until the truth of life unfolds. Now she's on her way back home, living in a wiser than before. Innocence until she wakes up to see her truth is her reality. Living in a world looking for a friend.
Welcome to Talk Back Live with Antoine Hawkins. We have in studio with us today Elisa Gomez-Taylor, and we're picking up the conversation in the second segment of the program. As you were talking earlier, I just had a lot of thoughts that were running through my mind, and I want to ask you, when you're performing, because you were talking about the exchange between you and the audience as an artist, and I know recently when I was talking to someone, another performer that we had on, and then some of my friends who are background vocalists, and you know, some of them have toured with Whitney Houston and different people and stuff, and they talk about how you know, they have the audience, or they get the audience when they're performing. So I want to ask you a question, because I don't know how many of them I've asked this question, but when you are performing, how do you know that you have the audience? I mean, when do you know, gotcha? Is it screaming? Is it, I mean, what?
I don't even think about that.
Really?
No, it's not about wanting the audience to scream or anything.
Okay.
It depends on what the setting is. So if it's a setting where people are mingling, you have the eye. I have the eye contact with people, and I can catch somebody's eyes, and I'm singing to them. And I do that because I am singing to people. I'm singing, but it's not just me singing, oh, watch me. No, it's not what it's about with me. It's about, let me sing to you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a story. And when I capture someone's eyes or people's eyes, they tune in, because I'm not looking all over, looking out in the crowd. I'm looking into your eyes.
Oh,
Okay, so that's the connection that I like to have. So the closer I am to people, the easier it is. When they're far away, it's kind of difficult, unless you're looking, you know, unless they're down here and they're not too far away.
So you like the smaller, more intimate venues?
Well, let me tell you something. I've sang in venues where there were a couple thousand people. People are doing their own thing. People are dancing, you know, they're just partying. But when you're in an intimate crowd, they're like this. And you have them.
Gotcha.
You have their complete attention. And you can really only achieve that in a smaller crowd, intimate crowd. And I like that too. So I like both. I celebrate in both. I sing to people in both, but it's very different. And I feel more of myself, and I'm a little bit more freer when I have that that intimacy with the audience.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. It's a lot more fun because it's more human. You know, you can almost touch someone, and sometimes I may touch someone's hand while I'm singing. It just depends.
Depends on the mood.
Depends on the mood. Yeah, yeah.
I've heard some artists, or I've listened to some artists say that when they're in the larger crowds, and I've done public speaking where I've had to speak, you know, before several thousand people down to a couple hundred people. And I can attest on the public speaking side that you can really feed off a crowd's energy. It is one of the most amazing feelings when you're speaking. Is it the same thing when you're singing and performing?
Yeah, because when they're having a good time, whether it's a big crowd, I'm having a good time. If it's an intimate crowd and there's grooving, I love it. Yeah, it's an exchange. So it's important. I think what's important for me is to have that exchange of communication, of people knowing that they're having a nice time, whether they're mingling and talking or they're paying attention totally, as long as they feel good. And that vibe is in that space.
In the atmosphere.
And I know when it's in that space, even if it's far away, the vibe is always there. It just depends on, okay, what's the intensity of it? You know, so if it's a real high intensity and people are dancing around me, I go bonkers. That happened at the Epic Lounge where they really don't even allow dancing. And next, you know, that floor was packed where we're playing Latin jazz music, and the waiters were trying to walk through
the
teetling
people
over
jamming.
with the trays up here, and they had somebody having to guide them through the crowd. It was so funny.
The owner was probably thinking, please don't drop the margaritas.
Well, they was like, please, you know, don't have the folks come in and give me $1,000 fine.
Oh,
you know?
gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So when they're around me dancing, I'll put the mic down. I'll go out and dance with them. Yeah.
So we're going to party for real, huh?
Absolutely. I'll bring folks in to sing with me. It just depends, you know. So it's having the awareness of where you can take it at that particular time. Just being aware of your audience, what they're feeling,
And the
what
setting.
and
all
the
of
setting
that.
and everything. So you know, you can't just do one thing in every type of setting. You have to really be able to
Be diverse, or
be
there comes your
diverse and
diversity.
fluid, and
fluid.
aware.
So tell me, who are your musical inspirations?
I have a lot. I have a lot of wonderful American folks that inspire me. I love Prince, you know, Commodores, Patti LaBelle, Aretha, hey, Anita O'Day, Lena Horne. One of my favorites is Sarah Vaughan. I mean, Sarah Vaughan, come on.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't her nickname the Divine One?
Yes, forever. Did you ever hear her record? She did a tribute to the Beatles.
No.
It was
I've
fabulous,
never
and I
heard.
love. It was more like a jazz standard. It was fabulous, and I actually learned a couple of those tunes. I had my musicians. I charted it out and had my musicians play it. So I was like, wow, just
a
a
minute.
different slant.
You charted it out. You write?
Okay.
So you
I
do music.
I
and
do
scores,
chicken
or?
scratch, but I have learned how to do that through my studies. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Charted it out. That now you're going deep on us.
Well, I usually do that when I'm writing my own music.
Okay.
I just chart out the basics, and then I'll bring in a professional really to come in and wrap
help
up the
you.
music for me. Yeah. Yeah. If there's something I don't know, I'm going to get an expert to work with me on it.
That's a smart move.
It
that
is.
people
We do
should
that in
really
business,
listen to.
right?
Exactly.
Is this not a business?
Yes.
It's a business.
It's a business.
And we want to present it well. We want the music to be done right. So I work with fabulous musicians. I had the opportunity to work with Richie Gahati Garcia, who plays for Sting. He plays drums for Sting.
Oh,
Hello.
I love Sting's music.
Quentin Ziegler, who plays for The Voice, keys for The Voice. And we've done a lot of work together. I've worked with Rolando Morales, who works with a lot of Santana players. The list goes on. I've just been very fortunate to be able to be introduced and meet these folks. It's not a big deal. If I'm out somewhere and I'm listening to music and there's a fabulous band playing and I have something coming up and there's a horn player and I like them, I'll go over there and give them my card, say, hey, I got a gig next week. Here's my CD. Let's talk this week. I do that. When I first moved here, that's what I did. I walked up to the musicians, introduced myself. I had something to give them, and I would talk to them, and next thing you know, I'm working with them. And sometimes if I need a referral, get a referral. You know, that's how it works. And you got to, and again, the reason I can do that with these folks is because, you know, I was referred by people who have worked with me. We have a great time when we work together. Folks get paid, you know, unless it's a fundraiser, and I let folks know up front, hey, this is a freebie, can you do it, right? But it's just amazing.
So let me ask you a
We can
question, because you're going into something that I just had a thought that were provoked. You're a leader in music. I mean, you know, you're a leader in terms of when you're dealing with your gigs and you're putting together your band. And I'm quite sure I can tell that you're involved in the process if you're performing at a
Absolutely.
venue.
Unless somebody calls me and say, Elisa, we need you. You know, the band's here. I bring my charts, and we'll have a rehearsal. Boom, we'll do the show. Very professional. I've worked with big bands. I've worked with convention bands, did a lot of that kind of work. So I know exactly what's expected when I go there. When it comes to putting something together for me, I select the musicians I want to work with, folks I've worked with before that will learn the music, that have a great personality.
Can flow with you.
Absolutely. Pay attention.
Because that's important.
It's important you pay attention to the singer, but also pay attention to the other musicians as well. What's interesting is I've worked with musicians, top quality, beautiful musicians, and they've never worked together, and people will ask me, how many years have they played together? And it's when you get this caliber of musicians that work together, they just flow so beautifully. And it's like, you know, it's like they were born together like twins.
You ever have issues of upstaging?
What do you mean?
Musicians, you know, trying to upstage each other, or
I've had that experience, and it's okay. You know,
just bring them back home, right?
Just bring it back home. Yeah, as long as they're doing a great job, I'm just going to stand off to the side and smile and say, and sometimes I'll just cue them to continue, or move them in another direction of the song or something. Yeah. So as a leader, yes, I can do that. When you're live, you can do that.
I want to ask you another question, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about going down this road, but as a female in the industry, and I'm quite sure that my studio audience can discern that you're very together, and that's a good thing.
Thank you.
But as a female in the music business, patriarchy in so many organizations or so many places in society, a woman's thought process might not be as valued as a man's in some areas. How do you deal with that in the music world when you're, telling people this is how this needs to be? We need it outlined like this. For that aspiring young female artist, what are some of the tools you can give her to be successful? Because I'm very much into empowering women, having 2 daughters.
Fantastic. It's a very good question. They have to understand the process. So someone needs to teach them the process. And if there's a certain way they want to do things and they're comfortable with it and they're secure with that, then whoever they bring aboard, they need to kind of follow that process. However, if there is someone that they're bringing aboard that can teach them a few things, a few tricks along the way, you got to take it. And I learn from the musicians I work with. I learned from, like I said before, the singers on the radio. And so, some of my favorite singers are like fado singers. Are you familiar with fado music? It's old folk music from Portugal.
I was going to say, folklore, right?
Like Dolce Pontes. She sang with Andrea Pacelli. And I saw her in concert at Carnegie Hall, not to get off the subject.
Oh, no, go ahead. That's
and I
fine.
had an
Be
opportunity
free.
to meet her and take a
Flow.
picture with her, but I was chatting with her. I said, "Are you with a record company?" She says, "No, I'm not with a record company right now." But she's
Really?
out touring. She was at Carnegie
Yeah.
Hall. It was packed in there with folks from around the world.
Oh, my.
I saw Maritza Nunes at
Oh.
Disney Hall.
At Disney Hall?
Yeah, and I
Here
tell
in
you-
Los Angeles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank Gary's place.
Yes.
And
That's
he
not
did-
small pickings,
I'm
right?
telling you, he designed her set, not only the building, but her set.
Okay.
And I didn't get a chance to meet her, but she was more the traditional fado singer. And I love the phrasings and the style and textures in their voices. Dolce Pontes is a little bit more, touch of mainstream in there. She's fabulous. And
So have you, with all of these different stylings that you're connecting to, and I'm listening to you, have you ever ventured into classical?
it's funny you should say that. I actually used to sing in a couple. I was in Aida.
Okay.
And I can't remember the name of that. But yes, I sometimes in the choir, I usually sing first soprano.
Oh, I was going to say, are you a
Yeah.
soprano? Okay.
I'm not in my regular singing. I am not a soprano.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that
But
takes
I love,
a lot of work.
But you know what? I like the Phantom of the Opera songs. I
Okay.
bought their book and I would practice singing their songs. And I have sung some of those songs back in Hawaii with some friends that would sing the male part. So yes, I had that kind of not only training but practicing. You can get the training, but you got to practice. So back to young ladies in the profession. Learn as much as you can. There's a lot of great articles online about the music business. Align yourself with good people that have good integrity. And if somebody
That's
wants to
very
promise you
important.
the world, turn around and walk away. And that's what I did when I got here. I turned
Gotcha.
around and walked. I can't tell you how many people said, "Oh, I can do this, I can do that," until they can prove it, and still be respectful.
That's some very
You got to
good
allow people to try to
advice.
prove it, but if they can't prove it and they're trying to get you to do something, or just walk away, okay? Because that
Because
means they're not going to.
They're not going
It
to.
is no secret. They're not going to.
And we all know anyone who's been in the business in any fashion or form, you know that there is a lot of drugs, there's a lot of sex. People are looking for something and not necessarily your best intentions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's some
so
good
they need
wisdom.
to just keep learning music, learn what your style is, know who your favorite folks are, and align yourself with really good people that will listen to you, people that can help you grow. Again, people that can teach you. So anytime I'm working with musicians in the studio or we're writing together, I'm always learning. And I write down the notes of what they tell me. It's amazing. And it just opens up new avenues. you know.
And probably gives you a different perspective on how to see things.
Yeah.
And that's very important. You know, when people are what I call cutting edge, individuals that are cutting edge in their field. You know, you can be cutting edge in singing, you can be cutting edge in public speaking, you can be cutting edge in teaching. Whatever it is in life that you're doing, it's very important to listen to people who've either already been there, they are there, or they also are what I call aspiring to get there. So that's really critical. I want to ask you another question before we take another station break. And I want to ask you, if you had the opportunity to open for anyone in the world, any artist in the world, who would it be?
Gosh, Mark Anthony?
Mark, really?
Yeah, yes.
Mark Anthony. Why Mark Anthony?
I love him. If I were born over again as a man, I would sing exactly like Mark Anthony.
How funny.
Or like India. I love her.
Okay.
I wish I could have for Celia Cruz. Loved her. She was
She was
amazing.
a phenomenal performer. Just
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Or Maria Bethania, who's Brazilian. Are you familiar with her?
Yes, I am.
She has that beautiful, deep, beautiful, rich voice.
Rich voice,
yes.
very rich.
Yeah.
Wow. So Mark, well, you said a couple of people actually, besides Mark Anthony. Well, we're going to take another quick station break at this time, and I want to share with you, we're talking to Elisa Gomez-Taylor here at Talkback Live with Antoine Hawkins. When you come back in on the next segment, we're going to be listening to her song, Bossa Nova. We'll be right back.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
I was listening from my window when I heard this melody. I'm swaying to the rhythm. I wonder who could it be? Strumming to bossa nova by sunset all night long. Bossa nova by sunset. I wanna go twisting up my love locks with pearls and rhinestones, slipping on a tight dress, high heels, red lipstick on, just for you. Bossa nova by sunset all night long. Bossa nova by sunset, dancing till the dawn. And ooh, I wanna feel that sexy vibe from the heart of Brazil. Hold on to every note until
Welcome to Talkback Live with Antoine Hawkins. I'm so glad that you came back here to be with us as we are interviewing Elisa Gomez-Taylor here in studio with us. We're having a great conversation with her about her career, the music industry, a little bit about her formation and so forth. And in the last segment, if you remember, particularly if you are a young lady who is aspiring to be a singer, she gave you some very, very good advice regarding what to look out for and how to protect yourself in essence. So as we pick up the conversation in this third segment, and we were just talking about who would you most like to open up for, you had a plethora of different singers, which are all very, very good singers. And I think that it's really, really, it is phenomenal, and I really do mean this, that you are not, albeit you have focused and you're known for your Latin jazz and stuff, and your bossa nova and all that, and we know that you do a little bit of R&B and funk, but you really seem to be universal in your music appreciation, valuation, and what you like. And I think that's very, very important because we live in a global society, and a lot of times. For people who haven't had the opportunity and what I consider the blessing to travel outside of these United States borders, there is so much more out there when it comes to music. If you can go to different countries, like I was in the Republic of the Dominicana, I'm sorry, the Dominican Republic.
DR. Love it.
I was
Beautiful
there and
there.
listened to music there. If you're in Chile, if you're in somewhere in the Caribbean, if you go down to Jamaica. I was there not too long ago, a few months ago, and there was some, playing music. It's just totally different. But I, too, have a great valuation and appreciation for different musical styles. And so I just want to celebrate you and salute you on that
Thank
point.
you.
If you weren't singing, I mean, I know that you may what I call some of us, we're bivocational, right? I got a little gig on the side besides doing this, But my passion is public speaking, and it's hosting a talk show. So that's my passion. Now, if I were not able to do this at all, then there's something else I would be doing. So if you were not able to sing at all, what would you be doing?
Probably what I'm doing now during the daytime, and that's just helping people get back
Okay.
on their feet to
And
start
that's important.
to start working again.
Yeah, that's important.
Helping them with the tools of how to interview well, how to get their resume references together, how to give that pitch. How do you talk to someone in that conversation when you're right in front of them, and to smooth that conversation out with answering things correctly. And it's really about their skill sets, but how do you phrase it so it's something that's powerful?
How do you make yourself marketable?
Exactly. Branding yourself well. So when someone says, hey, Elisa, I got that job or I got that interview, thank you so much. That means a lot. It really does. And even, I have to tell you this just quick story.
Oh, no, take your
Before I
time.
got here, I was at a previous place where I used to work, and I went in to just have coffee with a former coworker. I saw one of my clients in there, and he was shocked, and he said, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. We so miss you. Lisa, I did exactly what you said. He was having a difficult time trying to get a job in the hospitality business, and he also had a medical background. But he was having a tough time, and he would do jobs here and there. He said, but I took your advice. You told me to go volunteer. I've been volunteering at Kaiser for 2 months, and they told me it's a position that's going to turn into a full-time position, from volunteer to a permanent paying position.
Oh, that is great.
And he said,
that is
I
great
just thank you
news.
so much. And I said, I knew that you could do it, because sometimes that's what we have to do. We pick a place where we want to work, or the sector where we like to work, and then we try to get in to volunteer. You get to meet the people. They get to know you and your skill sets. You get to learn. And then eventually when an opening happens, they'll say, hey, that person over there, they've been doing a good job. Let's bring them in for an interview. Let's hire them. And it happens all the time. It's about relationships, and that's one way to cultivate a relationship when it comes to working, finding a good job.
To that point, are you socially conscious in your music? And if so, how?
Yes. One particular song that I'll be releasing, it's about a young lady that goes off to war, and
Okay.
she's in the line of fire, and she comes back and she gets an opportunity to talk about it. As we know, our men and women in service, not everyone comes back, and we're always keeping them in the light, keeping them in prayer, that they come back healthy and so forth. And we come back, and when they come back, hey, how do we take care of them? How do we get our veterans employed? That's another thing. But, back to the music, Cultivate a White Rose. That's about Jose Marti. We talked about that
Yes,
earlier.
yes.
And some songs are just very fun. Some are about love. You broke my heart, I hate you.
Oh, gotcha.
But I love you too.
Yeah, and those are sometimes we can say unfortunate true stories, and some of them are fortunate true stories.
Exactly.
And sometimes you need to step right
Exactly. Step big and keep going.
and don't look back. Whatever you do, it's like my aunt used to say. You're getting a bad relationship. She would tell my cousins, you get into a bad relationship with this guy, and it's like, well, I won't use the words that she would use, but you can throw some food out there, and then the animal comes. You'll say, "Shoo, kitty, kitty," and then you keep feeding them and coming back and forth, back and forth.
Exactly.
Just stop feeding them and kick them out.
That's right.
but
And
that's-
my song "Shame," which is on the Lava Man album, it's like, how dare you?
and
You
that
just-
is, I like that song.
like, you got to make up your mind. Do you want to stay in or out? What's wrong with you? You want to play games? You want to play hide and seek? I can play that too.
How funny.
That's kind of like a bluesy type of song, yeah. And on this particular album, Lava Man, my co-writer was Sandro Albert. He's from São Paulo, Brazil.
Oh, São
He's
Paulo.
in New York. And are you familiar with Milton Nascimento?
I
singer.
know.
He's like in his
Nascimento,
60s.
but
He has
he's a
his silk
congressman
voice.
in Brazil. That's a whole nother. Yeah, this
No,
guy,
this one's a
he's
singer.
congressman.
Absolutely amazing. He's
in Sao Paulo also.
Yeah, exactly. He's a legend, and I just saw it. Sandro on Facebook, and he was with Milton, and they are actually doing some work together. But they've been doing work together for years. But I saw Milton when he came here to the Conga Room some years ago, and he was just amazing. So all to say, my co-writer on this album is Sandro Albert, and I had some great musicians in there. Chris Wabich on drums, Micah Miller on oboe, English horn, Stefan Oberhoff, who's actually the musical director for Brenda Russell and Melissa Manchester,
Yes.
and other people.
Phenomenal
And-
musicians.
Yes, and just I learned so, like I was saying, you learn so much from these musicians who have traveled, worked with so many different kinds of people, and they come back with these stories, and I learn from the stories. Crazy.
So speaking of travel, what are some of the favorite places that you've, let me rephrase it. Give me your top 2 or 3 places that you've that you just love to perform at outside the United States.
Outside,
Or
okay.
your top 1 or 2.
Cavu de la Huchette.
Okay.
Kind of, where's that? What does that sound like? Cavu de la Huchette.
Well, that would be in France.
That was in Paris. It was so interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine who just got back from Paris, and he went there.
Oh, really?
I described the place because it's a cave.
A cave,
It's a
really?
beautiful cave, and it's an underground
It's a-
cave where they have swing dancing.
What?
Yes, and people dress up
Okay.
in the garb, and they do serious swing dancing.
Well, that's different.
And they have, when I was there, it was a 7-piece band. And the band leader was American. And I did a couple sets with them. It was fabulous, just standard songs. I just give them a key, and I was singing with them. It was just amazing.
Wow.
And let's see where else. I sang in a DR. Tropicalissimo.
Tropicalissimo?
Yes. I opened for them,
Oh, wow. Okay.
doing about 3 numbers.
Was it in Punta Cana or Santo Domingo?
Punta Cana.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, that was
okay.
really nice. Oh gosh.
Those are 2 good places.
Yes.
Those are 2 good
I'm going
places.
to blank right now, so
Yeah,
sorry.
Those are 2 good places. Wow. Well, that's something. We're going to take one quick station break as we prepare for our final segment. And we have in studio with us live today, Elisa. And I want you to tell a friend, because we're going to talk back in this second, in the last segment when we come back. Rather, we're going to talk back, right? Blah. I'm getting tongue tied here. We're going to wrap it up in our final segment when we come back. But I want you to tell a friend as you're listening in to tune in to Talk Back Live with Antoine Hawkins, because we want to share with you how to purchase her great music. Wonderful sounds where you can, on a Sunday afternoon, have a little champagne or something, or whatever you do, and you can really enjoy it. Come right back to Talk Back Live with Antoine Hawkins, and when you return, we will be playing her song. Let's do Supe Espera. We'll be right back.
Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Ven y aléjame, tristeza, tráeme tú.
Welcome to Talk Back Live with Antoine Hawkins, and we were just here in studio jamming to Sufi Esperar, and I know that you really, really like that song. In this final segment, I want to ask our guest, Elisa, do you play any instruments?
I actually use the piano when I'm writing.
Oh, okay.
And I used to, and occasionally I'll use hand percussions. I used to play the congas just a little bit, basic, but maracas, the guillo, I've used those instruments. It just depends. If I'm playing that Latin music, it's easy for me to just pick up an instrument and sing at the same time. It's just part of me, part of my blood.
Gotcha.
But yes, definitely I use the piano.
Okay. Is there any genre of music that you can't stand?
Not really. I like most kinds of music. If there's something that I may not care for, it's probably something that doesn't have a good rhythm, beat. There's all kinds of music, but it really boils down to what makes you groove inside, and what the message is. So if there's something I really don't like, it's probably a lot of instruments playing at the same time. What do we call that?
Craziness.
Or something that just doesn't have something that doesn't have any flavor, no spice to it. It's just kind of junk music. There's junk music out there, and that's okay. Because that junk music is appealing to somebody and makes somebody feel something. Okay. I prefer music that has a story to tell, that's not degrading other people, whether it's a female.
Or misogyny or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I prefer not to listen to that because there's so much more that is so uplifting or it has just great stories and lessons. I much rather listen to that music, and there's so much more to listen to.
Yeah, my youngest child was playing we were going somewhere, and we were riding in the car, and so she hits Sirius XM button, and she pops on the station. I'm like, that is not music. She says, no, Dad, your music is not music. She said, this is what we young people listen to.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Because I think what's missing is in schools, they're not getting an exposure to the different styles of music that's out there, world music, whether it's, the traditional Latin music, the traditional Brazilian music, traditional American music, for goodness sakes, Pan Alley, way back in the 20s and 30s. Fabulous music. They're not being exposed to this, so they really have nothing to compare it to. And but that doesn't mean that they can't learn it sometime in their life.
Exactly. So how does one get in contact with you if they want to purchase your music? Can they go to your website?
They can go to my website, go to Amazon, CD Baby, yes.
Okay. And let's share with our studio audience, your website is www.elisagomeztaylor.com.
Exactly.
Or .com?
.com.
Okay.
ElisaGomezTaylor.com.
So you all need to get that deep down in your psyche. Elisa, E-L-I-S-A, Gomez, G-O-M-E-Z, Taylor, Taylor.com, or Amazon.com, and just in the search bar, on Amazon search bar, put her name in, and then her CDs will pop up. Lava Man, however, is not your only CD.
No, my first one is I Adore You, que te adoro.
Okay,
Yeah.
I Adore You. So we want to definitely support you in that. And share with our listening audience, when should they expect, or when can they expect something new from you?
I'm in the studio now recording some new music. So I'm looking to release about 15 to 20 songs next year. So I'll have a double album.
Will you be willing to come back and let us feeture your
I
songs
would
when
love
they come
to.
out?
I would be honored to.
Yeah,
Yes,
seriously.
You don't have to beg me.
I got you.
I would love to, of course.
Okay, well, this has been a wonderful time
It
in
has.
interview with you.
Thank you.
Are there any final things you want to share with our studio audience?
I want to say just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a wonderful job, sharing with the world, amazing people, doing so many positive, informational things. And And I just wish you much success in what you're doing.
Oh, thank
Whatever
you.
levels you're trying to get to, you're going to get there. I know it. And you're going to have a lot of us supporting you getting there.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Those are very, very kind words. I value and appreciate you also. I really do. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and to be on the program and the show so that I could share you with my international audience. I think that's very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I want to tell you all, we've had a wonderful time here in the studio. I know that you feel the positivity and the love and that you've enjoyed her music. So we're going to play Love is a Sacrifice by Elisa Gomez Taylor as we conclude the program. I want you to come back next week to Talk Back Live with Antoine Hawkins. And don't you forget to go to www.elisagomeztaylor.com and purchase her CDs. We're going to put that up on the screen for you so you can see her CD cover of Lava Man. And she has another CD that's going to come back out real soon. And she'll be back on the program to share some of those tracks. Until next time, peace, love, and as they say on Soul Train, soul. We love you. We'll see you next time. Talk Back Live with Antoine Hawkins. Bye-bye.
Love is a sacrifice for the soul to ponder. If I fall under your spell, my heart would never wonder. Love is a symphony, playing my emotions, and I'll do